Thursday night. You know what that means. It's time for Magic and Martinis. Please welcome your host, Scott Wells.
Thank you, everybody. Just keep your seats. I appreciate that. Thanks very much. And then welcome again to the 36th week that we are having of our virtual happy hour. We've got a lot of people who are in the room already. I want to say hello there. John Custer, one of the first people always out of the chute. Glad to have you back again from Michigan, all the way up in the cold Michigan. And so appreciate that you're being here. And Dal Sanders, you got your martini, my friend. I'll say cheers to you. And take a wee drink there as well. Thanks very much from the cold North Texas. I know that you're experiencing some cold weather as well as we. I mean, it's not as cold, but it's still cold. And, of course, my buddy John, he's in Michigan then as well. And I enjoyed last night's episode that you and Franz had done with John Gahn in a live show of his museum, which was just nothing less than awesome. Very, very cool. And also Nancy Anderson up in Chicago in Chi-Town. I know it's freezing cold up there. I mean, freezing cold up there. Stay warm, my friend. Cheers to you. And also then we got Alex, basically sweet vodka. Well, wait a minute. What kind of sweet vodka are you talking about? Well, this is actually what I'm drinking is 3 Ollie's vodka. Don't tell the owner, but I'm not using Illusion vodka tonight, which is one of my, it's a vodka that I have an interest in. But this is 3 Ollie's. This is a cherry vodka, actually, cherry flavor. And PJ, hey, good seeing you, PJ. Good evening to you as well, or as we say, you all. I appreciate that. And hey, Alec, you're new here. Thank you, Alec. I'm glad that you joined us here for this evening. We're going to be having a great time with some very interesting guests we've got then tonight. John, you says what, 21 degrees up in Michigan right there? Holy moly. Well, stay warm, my friend. Nancy, yep, I know. You're in Chicago. As I said, one of the friends of the Magic Word, thanks again for being here. And as Jeff Lanes would say, your weather is in my yard. Drunk, come and get it. Yeah. Get this out of here. We are having freezing cold weather. Well, it's not quite freezing yet, but it's supposed to be dipping down. It's just been raining all day long. I wasn't able to get out and do my walk this morning because it was pouring down rain. Plus, it was 40 degrees. And so it was just a little bit too much. In Austin, we've got Nick Lewin, our buddy up there, and his wife, Susan, of course. Rum and Coke for you. Cheers. Going to drink to that. What do we got? Saskatchewan. Okay. No way. 40 freaking degrees below zero. Okay, you win the contest. That's colder than my martini right now. And this is a chilled martini. So that's amazing. Yeah, PJ, burr, that is cold. Yes, I know that you had, John, that you had him on your show a while back with Franz. It's going to be great. So again, Alec, thanks again for being here. Mike's Harder, basically sweet. Oh, I see. I like Mike's Hard vodka. That is good. Dow. So what do you say? 29 degrees in Dallas? Yep, that is definitely below freezing over there. And my son Sean, freezing in West Texas. I know you're out in Midland. And he says howdy because that's kind of the thing that people say who are graduates of Texas A&M. I love you, Sean, and I'm glad that you're here. I think that Lindsay maybe too, Shiny Nichols. So welcome if she's here then too. Nancy, again, snow is what? It's better than rain. Well, I guess, that's true, except it is kind of slippery. I just heard this evening that they had some really horrible 100-car pileup of 6 people who died in Fort Worth because of the icy roads up there. It was just horrible. Polar vortex, yeah, Richard, that's what's going on. And okay, Laguna Niguel. David, glad that you're here then too. I assume that California is probably or hopefully a little bit warmer than what we're experiencing then right now. 64 degrees out there. Yep, I guess that it is a little better. And my good friend, my sweetheart up there, Harriet, cheers to you. Thanks again for joining us. Sandy Rhodes, greetings from Connecticut. He is the guy, I've got to tell you right now, Sandy Rhodes is the guy that's responsible for getting me into magic. And I owe so much to that guy. He is amazing. And I, back in Tulsa, Oklahoma, many years ago, and I tip my hat to him. I think of him and Pete Peterson in Tulsa, Oklahoma, so many times. And that the PJ, yep, I heard it was north of Dallas. Yeah, it's where it was cold. What do you think of a teen sitcom called iCarly getting an adult sitcom for Paramount? What? Okay. Yeah. Okay. From Georgia. It's got to be a little bit cool, warmer there. All right. Well, I tell you what. Well, let's get on some of our guests. To begin with, I want to bring on someone who has been working or used to work for a while with Siegfried and Roy, actually. And he had also been working with Kirby Van Burch. He had worked at Ka. And so I think that would be appropriate for us to show this little video that tells you a little bit about the background, a little bit about his boss.
Ladies and gentlemen, Siegfried and Roy.
In a town full of big names, theirs became the biggest. With their menagerie of exotic tigers and lions, these self-proclaimed masters of the impossible earned more money than any other act in the history of Las Vegas, a staggering $57 million a year.
Siegfried and Roy had been the single most successful entertainment attraction in Las Vegas history by orders of magnitude, beyond Elvis or Frank Sinatra or anyone else.
Putting on the Siegfried and Roy show took 250 cast and crew members, 75 tons of scenery, including a mechanical 6-story fire-breathing dragon.
I believe that Siegfried and Roy have changed the face of live entertainment in Las Vegas and globally forever.
Throw in an elephant and half a dozen full-grown 600-pound jungle cats, and the word spectacle seems understated.
Wow. What do you think about that?
That brings back a lot of memories. I love it.
You know, I bet that did, Russ, that it is so great to see you. One of my very good friends, longtime friends. Please welcome Russell Bruce. Hey, Russell, so glad to have you here tonight. I'm really excited to have you.
Good to be here.
Thank you. Have you got a little beverage with you there tonight?
Oh, I went for the stiff stuff. Water.
Good for you. I need to be drinking a little bit more water myself. Oh, boy. Getting choked up over here. We had a few more people who had commented then as well. That was true. Yeah, like Nancy said, it was an amazing production. It was a magical legacy, then certainly.
Even more so backstage.
And what's that?
Even more so backstage.
I'm sure that you had a completely different view of it than the rest of us would have had. Well, we're going to be having someone else who's going to be coming on that I want to introduce a little bit later. She's having some difficulty apparently she had an emergency that she might tell us what the problem was a little bit later. And also she's got a slow problem in trying to get on here right now. But that's okay. That we're going to get on with our next guest, and someone that we all know very well, and someone that Russell had worked with then as well. So this will tell you just a little bit about him.
Kirby Van Burch. You won't believe your eyes at this thrill-a-minute production, packed full of astonishing disappearing acts, huge illusions, and exotic animals. See a royal white tiger, a unicorn, a helicopter appearing in 4 seconds flat, assistants cut in half, one-of-a-kind surprises, and more. Plus, take a magical mystery tour backstage with Kirby and his big cats. Kirby Van Burch. Millions have been amazed. Now it's your turn. Kirby Van Burch Theater, Highway 248, Branson, Missouri.
All righty, and there he is, Mr. Kirby Van Burch himself. Hey, Kirby, good to see you, man.
Hello, Scott. Hello, Russell.
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. I hope you're doing the same.
I can't complain.
This is really great. I'm glad to have all of us together here then right now, that because that we were all kind of Houstonians, but we all kind of started back. Now, were you actually born, Kirby, here in Houston?
Herman Hospital.
Is that right? Yeah.
Yep.
And
The original one.
And the original. Okay. Then you probably remember the Shamrock Hotel.
Oh, that was lovely. I don't know why they tore that down.
Did you ever work there at the Shamrock?
No, I never did.
I always remember Walter Blaney talking about working at the Shamrock Hotel, and he was saying what a great place it was. And a long time ago, apparently they used to have I think our local assembly, SAM assembly, had met there, and they had the original charter for our assembly number 19 that was signed by Harry Houdini that was on the wall there at the Shamrock. But I think whenever that they finally demolished the hotel, that piece of history went with it, unfortunately.
Right.
But were you around, Russell? Do you remember the Shamrock Hotel?
I remember it, but I never performed there.
Yeah. Okay. So someone had just asked over here if you've got any funny Siegfried and Roy stories, and I think the answer is probably yes.
At the Frontier, just before showtime, Siegfried decides he has to go to the restroom. So he's heading towards the restroom, and the crew guys say, Siegfried, don't lock the door. There's something wrong with the lock, and you're going to get locked in. And Siegfried's like, no problem. I fine. So he goes into the restroom, does his business, washes his hands. Of course, he's locked the door. He's yanking on the door and pounding on it. Get me out! Get me out! And then Roy runs over and goes, Siegfried, don't worry. I'll go on without you. To which Siegfried starts just pounding on the door. Get me out here!
And finally got him out of there.
I think they had to break the door down. You want to jump forward a little to the Mirage?
That was what?
Do you want to jump forward a little to the Mirage?
I do, but before we do that, I see that we've got our other guest over here. So I want to bring her on just real quickly with this little video montage that will introduce you to her. And there she is, Luna Shimada.
Hi
hey, welcome,
there.
Luna.
Hi, how are you?
Fantastic.
Good. I hope you can hear me okay. I had to log on with my phone because my computer is just not working. I don't know what's going on, but it's really slow and, keep getting a little wheel. So I'm like, I got to get in there. Here I
understand.
am.
You were here.
Yeah.
Thank you. And welcome.
Can you hear me
glad.
okay? Everything. Hi, everyone. Everyone hear me okay?
Yes, I think so.
Okay. Good.
And PJ was saying hi, Luna, over there. Then welcome. Yeah. So I want to get back then also, if we can, then Russell, that you were just starting to talk about fast forwarding a little bit then to so many people love you, Luna.
Oh yeah.
But who doesn't?
Oh, that's nice.
What's not to love?
You'd be surprised.
Okay, so
Depends.
we were just.
I'm 90% angel and 10% demon. So.
Yeah, that's right. So anyhow, I was just we were talking then, Russell, that you were talking about the. You want to jump forward to the Mirage and talking about some other things with which, by the way, PJ was saying she worked at the lighting actually at Shamrock Ballroom for the Theater Under the Stars, Tuts.
Wow.
Kind of interesting.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. anyhow, so my question is about the Mirage. We want to jump forward and talk about that.
Okay. Well, in the opening days, or actually before opening days, they were in pre-production for the show. So it was such an enormous thing to get that show up and going. They were quite literally going out on the sidewalk and dragging people in to help build and put in all the equipment that was needed. So then when they segued into actually starting to rehearse or trying to rehearse the different parts of the show, they developed their crew from all those people that they just pulled in. Now you fast forward, the show's open and everything's up and running just fine, and HR shows up. HR decides they want to do drug testing on the entire crew. The stage manager kind of pulls them aside into a room and says, so are you going to be the one that explains to Mr. Wynn why he's losing $500,000 a night for the next 4 months?
Wow.
And I was like, what are you talking about? He said, you drug test and we will lose the entire crew.
Wow, that's true. Yeah.
That's my crew.
Makes sense.
She kind of backed off and went, well, maybe we should drug test from now on.
But not
This
tonight.
is show business, though. This is show business we're talking about.
Exactly.
Right? I mean, kind of a futile thing. You know?
That is funny. There was a story you had told me some time ago when we were at a convention about where Siegfried had gone into a convenience store. You tell that story. That's just lovely.
Okay. There was a side area off of outside that everyone would sit around and smoke and eat chips and things like that. And the show's pretty well all preset by this time. And we're all out there just enjoying the sunshine. Siegfried comes driving up. And he's getting out of his car and he has this bizarre look on his face and he's talking to himself. So as he comes getting closer to us, we can begin to hear him. And he's saying, I don't get it. I just don't get it. And everyone has just stopped eating and they're just kind of watching him kind of walk through. And finally, one of the crewmen just says, Siegfried, what's going on? What happened? And Siegfried he comes out of this trance and walks over and goes, give me a cigarette. Here, light me, thank you. He says, I don't believe it. I was coming into the theater and I realized I doesn't have any cigarettes. And I thought, well, I'll stop by the 7-Eleven and I'll go pick up some cigarettes. I go inside, I find my cigarettes, I put them on the counter, and I realize I doesn't have my wallet. And so I pick up the cigarettes and I said, I'm going to take the cigarettes and I will send somebody over from the theater and they will pay for them. And the woman snatched the cigarettes out of my hand. I couldn't believe it. I said, do you know who I am? I am Siegfried of Siegfried and Roy. And she looked at me and said, I am Bernice of 7-Eleven, and you still don't get the cigarettes.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's funny. That's a very good one. Well, now, the reason that I wanted to get everybody together here because that you had worked in Las Vegas and all this, and just before we were on here this evening and talking, that you, Kirby, had said that you asked Russell to come out and actually handle your props for you at your show. Can you talk a little bit about that then too?
Well, I knew Russell, and Russell was my friend, but he was also my competition. So I don't remember how I got him to come out to Las Vegas and then to Branson, but he stayed with me for a while, and he was I couldn't have done it without him. You know, he repaired the props. If they broke right before they went on stage, he'd figure out a way to get them on, and kept everything in good condition. The backstage had rules and regulations, and people weren't going to put their cokes on the props if they if they had one, because he'd snatch them and throw it away. Yeah, I couldn't have done what I did without Russell. That's for sure.
So you were Russell. You were kind of like the prop Nazi.
I was a complete asshole. Because everyone seemed to have the idea that, oh, here, I can sit on this. I was like, no, that's about an eight or $9 or sometimes $20,000 illusion. Don't put your coffee on that. Don't sit on it. Don't stand on it.
That's right.
You know, I actually worked with an act years ago in a show that used to butt her cigarettes out on my prop table right before she went on stage.
Oh, you got to be kidding me.
No.
What?
And it was very, see, sometimes, 90% of the time you work with great people, but every now and then you'll get that one person that you're working with that just for no reason at all just decides that they want to fuck with you. So sorry, don't know if I'm allowed to cuss on here, but anyway, excuse me. But you get that one person that just for some reason just wants to deliberately do these strange things, and I've got some pretty good stories about that.
Well, like for example,
the way different performers have sabotaged each other's acts and stuff. But I had this very expensive table backstage when I worked with James DeMare. We had that vanishing birdcage prop, which was a custom made prop. And he used to sit backstage right before I push it out on stage. But the act that would go on stage before us, had this assistant who would smoke a cigarette in the act. And when she'd come off stage, she'd butt the cigarette out on my table, like on purpose, And so I was like, why? But I mean, that happens sometimes. Interesting story, if you want to hear this. You ready for an interesting story?
Oh, okay. Of course.
So I won't name any names.
Wait a minute, let me get another drink here. I want to get...
yeah. Pour yourself a drink, because this is a good one.
Okay.
Okay, so my father, for those of you who don't know, Shimada and Deanna, right, were very, very good friends with Bill and Irene Larson from the Magic Castle. And they became like the best of friends, right? Like they were almost inseparable for years and years. They were like the reason that happened, and one of the reasons how that friendship had formed was because my parents got booked to do the It's Magic show back in the early 70s. I think it was like 1972 or something. And at the time, they came to America. They didn't know anybody. They were like the newbies on the scene, and they didn't know Bill or Irene that well, but they, they were just, they knew there was another act in the show that they were really good friends with, that they knew from Mexico. And I can't remember the name of that act, but anyways, it's not really important. But this act that they were friends with kind of had it in for Bill and Irene, right? There was just some bad blood between them for some reason. No, my parents didn't really understand it because they didn't know them. But at the time in the It's Magic show, Bill and Irene were doing a Dante act, right, where he was dressed up like Dante, and Irene was his assistant, and they were doing the Decolleté chair.
Okay.
And so at a certain point, if you know what the Decolleté chair illusion is, does everyone know that? Okay. So for those who don't know, because this is kind of important, for those who don't know, it is an old illusion where a girl sits on a chair, and the magician covers her up with a cloth, and then 1, 2, 3 pulls the cloth away, and the girl's vanished, right? So is it okay for me to kind of expose certain principles on here?
A few things you can, because I think 99% of the people here are magicians, or like my son of a magician.
Okay, so I'll just be careful about how I describe. Okay, so these people decided that, it would be very funny to sabotage the mechanism that allows Irene to vanish under the cloth, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So, they went under the stage, and they started like banging and nailing things up, right?
Right.
And my parents were the only ones that were in on it. Like they knew that they were going to do this, and they're like, oh my God, this is going to be so funny because, when she goes to bed, she's not going to be able to get through. She's not going to be able to, do what she's got to do to get, to disappear. And my parents were thinking at the time, because they didn't know anybody, but they were thinking at the time, man, this is kind of bad. This is really, really, really bad, messing up somebody's act like that. And they felt so guilty about it. And they were like faced with this like moral situation where it's like, gee, do we remain loyal to our friends and keep their secret? Or do we go tell them what's going to happen, to save them the humiliation of messing up their show? Right? So, they deliberated for a few minutes on this decision, and then they decided to go and tell Bill and Irene what was going on. So they went up to them. They said, hi, you don't really know us, but, we want to let you know that this is what's going on. And they were just so grateful. Like Irene was just so grateful that they came to them and told them that, what was happening, so that they were able to go down and correct the problem and all that. Right.
Right.
And then when it came time for the show, the other guys, they're up in the balcony, getting ready to watch the act. And they're just so excited. Oh my God, this is going to be so good. It's going to be so funny. This is just going to screw them up so well, and they're all sitting there, just waiting for that moment to come. And then she sits in the chair and he covers her up with a cloth, and then 1, 2, 3, boom, and she's gone. She vanishes. And the look on their face, they were like, what? Wait, what happened? Why did it work? And they were talking, my parents are just kind of like, I don't know, maybe they found the nail, But that was one of those pivotal moments, where they had to make an important decision about, between right and wrong, and it was a hard one. It was like, do we remain loyal to our friends and play and go along with the prank? Or do we save, or do we save these other people from humiliation? Right.
Right.
And they made the right decision, because that was the right thing to do, because let's face it, it was the right thing to do. You don't mess with somebody's act. You just don't do that. You just don't do that. Right. It's all fun and games, until someone gets hurt. Right. And, and reputations can get hurt for no good reason. So, yeah. Anyways, that's my story.
That was a good story.
Yeah, and they've been the best of friends ever since,
Ever since. Oh, that's fantastic. A great ending to the story. There was somebody else also. PJ had asked Kirby, can you talk about the bear and the giant mirror ball over there?
The bear and the giant mirror ball. Well, it was a giant mirror ball, but it wasn't big in the sense that it looked like it had a lot of room in it. It looked like it would fit a girl, would fit in the mirror ball. And that's what happened is she'd come out and she'd go into the ball. Then these swords that are on fire would be pushed through the mirror ball all the way around. The lid would be lifted and fire would come out. So because of the swords, and because of the fire, there would be no way that the girl could still be in the ball. It would seem. Then I'd throw the lid down and I'd pull the swords out. And when I reopen it, a bear would come out.
Right.
And what happened is that the way that you train bears is with sugar or honey. That's why the bears will take all those bee stings to get the honey. They're addicted to it. It's like a heroin to a heroin addict. So I worked with M&Ms, and I would train the bear to go into something for an M&M, and then he would want to go in. It's like that was his decision, and it wasn't me pushing him to go in. But coming out is a whole other story, because when he comes out, he's ready for his treat. He wants to be paid for the job he just did.
Sure.
And when he comes up out of that mirror ball, his jaws are clapping, and he has all of his teeth, and he has all of his claws on his hands. He looks like Edward Scissorhands with all these claws extended. So one day he come out, and I would grab the leash that's underneath his chin, and he would bite on my arm, and he'd do this every night, and after a while my arm looked like hamburger meat on there. It was just like,
you mean you didn't put like something over your arm or like a sleeve or something?
No, I wasn't smart enough to do that the first time. But I did do it. I did take a gauntlet, a leather gauntlet, which I had made to go on my arm, and then my jacket went over the gauntlet. So then one day I'm at the Aladdin Hotel, and the bear comes out, and I stick my hand in his mouth, because I've got the gauntlet on, and he's going up and down like on a piece of corn, but I don't feel any of it, you know. I'm smiling to myself, and I'm not thinking about, you know, the how dangerous the bear is when he comes out. And when he got his right arm out, he took it across my face.
Oh no!
And it slit my lip. It was like you do with a shrimp. What's that called when you split it?
You devein the shrimp. Yeah.
Yeah. And so my lip was hanging down and blood was gushing down. So I ran the bear around the passerelle in the audience and got him to go back off stage. And then I finished the act, not so much with talking, but I finished the act as best I could while biting my lip and trying to hold the blood back. And then I went to the emergency room, to the hospital next door. And then the next show, the late show, my lip was really swollen. So, you know, I was like deformed looking to the audience, but they didn't know why. The first audience gave me a standing ovation, and the second audience did not.
Now, how far into your show were you whenever that happened? I mean, you have another half hour to go, or was it almost finished, or what?
Russell, what was that?
I was just trying to remember. I don't know.
Yeah.
You were there, Russell, when that happened?
Oh yeah. No, I remember it. It was really scary.
And what were you guys thinking in the wings over there? Like you were going to have to go out. I mean, I assume you were there the night that Roy got bitten by the tiger.
Oh
which
yeah.
We'll get to that here momentarily.
Well, in Kirby's case, you couldn't really see it. You just saw the bear strike at it, and you saw Kirby like jerk away. And I was like, wow, that was close.
You didn't know he got him, basically.
No, not at all. It wasn't until he dropped the bear off in the wings and he walked off, which he normally doesn't do. And then there's a mirror there, and he's checking it, going, "Oh my God!" And he goes back out.
Yeah. Wow. There was another question over here that John Pullman just asked over there, Kirby, for you. If you talk about the lady who crawled across the screen behind you.
Oh, yeah. Hey, guys, whenever you're crossing behind me, don't bend down and try not to be seen, because you are seen. Just stand up and walk with pride.
Walk with pride.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, that was my assistant trying not to get into the picture. And the guy in the robe that is went across is my nephew.
Ah, okay. Luna, I was going to ask you for just a moment that I know that you and Losander have your theater still in downtown.
Yes.
Is it downtown Vegas, or tell me a little bit about the theater.
Yeah,
what kind of shows you?
It's near downtown Las Vegas. It's right off Charleston and Main Street, which is in the Arts District. Mm-hmm. So it's a very trendy kind of area of Vegas that has been building up for the last couple years, you know, with a lot of antique stores and galleries, and it's really, really great down there. So
is it near Fremont Street? I mean, like downtown there?
Yeah, it's not close to it's Charleston, which is right before we start entering what is officially the downtown area.
Uh-huh.
So, but it's, you know, it's right off Charleston. So it's considered downtown, but it's not really all the way downtown. It's not near Fremont yet. But it's, we've been open since last September. You know, we began to observe, of course, you know, COVID safety measures and social distancing, but it's a very small venue. I mean, when it's capacity, it's only about 35 seats. So with COVID, you know, measures, we're down to half of that capacity, right?
Right.
So not able to really get a lot of people.
They have to have 25 feet from the stage to the first.
No. We don't have to follow that measure because we're not considered a theater venue or a showroom.
Oh, really?
We're actually a retail business that does shows. So we're under a different different license, you know, so different policies. So, but we do have good distance, you know, appropriate distance from the front of the stage. Everyone, of course, wears face coverings, and everything is properly cleaned, and, you know, after every show and all that stuff. So we've been able to do minimal capacity seating, but at least we've been able to do some shows, you know, and have some shows go up and running. And it's really sort of just on a day-to-day basis based on ticket sales. So
have you done any have you done any virtual shows or anything like that? Or
I've been so busy doing the live shows because I'm just one of the lucky ones that happens to have a venue where I can perform live. So I haven't really had the time to do the virtual shows yet. They don't pay as well as the live shows.
Well, no, that's true.
At least I haven't figured out how to monetize it enough to make it.
Well, even so, I think that virtual shows, for the most part, is something that just will kind of get you by and kind of pay some bills. But it's
there are some people out there doing the virtual shows that are doing it really professionally, with with the cameras, professional cameras and directors and all that stuff. And but it's just like a produced TV show, basically. Yeah. But I'm still doing the live shows, and
There was a comment going back for just a second that John Pullum had asked. It would have been funny to have when you were talking about with the decollete chair, if they would have pounded the nails back in when they were down there, the others would have checked. It would have confused them even more.
I mean,
Luna, did you have to make deals?
That's what it was like back in the days. Magicians were really competitive back then. And they used to do some crazy stuff to each other.
Go ahead, Kirby. Sorry.
Yeah, I was saying in Las Vegas and in Branson, the ticket sellers that are not on property that don't belong to you or me or my theater, but they primarily for timeshare, and they would give away free tickets to someone that would take a timeshare. Do you have to make those kind of deals yourself as well?
No, we're not doing those because we're not like I said, we're not an official showroom. When I was four-walling a show in Las Vegas years and years ago in a casino, in a hotel, I had to do all that. I had to do the timeshares. I had to make the coupons for all the, the tourist, the tours and all that stuff. And it was a lot of guerrilla marketing because Las Vegas is one of the most expensive cities in the world to advertise in. I mean, a billboard could cost you $5,000 a month, and your ad just pops up on that digital screen for not even 10 seconds.
That's just a digital screen for $5,000. You're not talking about just a regular billboard.
Well, a regular billboard is about $10,000 to $12,000 depending on the location where it's located.
So if you're close to the airport, it's even more.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Digital billboards, I think, are a little bit cheaper, maybe half that. But, just trying to advertise in a free trade magazine, like what's on Las Vegas or something, it's like $2,500 for a full page ad that they run for 6 weeks.
Right.
So we didn't have that budget to advertise. So we had to do a lot of guerrilla marketing, which was, rack cards in different places, word of mouth. But now we have a better system because now we have websites like TripAdvisor and Eventbrite, and so this has sort of opened up the opportunity to be able to sell tickets.
What about cab backs, that kind of a thing? I know Lance Burton used a lot of cabs.
It's all old school advertising now. I mean, cab backs were expensive too, very expensive. You had to pay for all the printing, and I think it was something like $50 per cab per month, but you had to have at least, I don't know, several, 20 cabs for, there was a minimum amount of cars that you had to pay for every month. So,
I remember that
you're talking about major money there.
Lance Burton had done some things with the cabs way back when, in which he was, I think, giving some free tickets or incentivizing the taxi drivers to promote his show.
I mean, there's a lot of that. Now, of course, all of that is stopped because there's no shows running. And,
well, sure, of course.
And I think that, it became a big monopoly for a while. And I'm really glad that it's kind of changed because now it's become more of an equal opportunity situation.
Yeah, interesting.
Instead of it being a monopoly and who do you pay off to get this and to get that and all that stuff. So it's the game has changed.
The game's changed. Well, it's something completely new. I wanted to go back here for just a minute, then also back in history, that is, to talk with you, Russell, about the tiger bite. about how that had changed your lives, and I say life, not only your life, but there were, as we saw that video at the beginning of this the show, they talked about having 250 people that worked for Siegfried and Roy at the time, and how they were the highest paid magician or highest paid act ever in Las Vegas then. And so that obviously had changed so dramatically. What was that like back behind the scene where you were with the rest of the cast and crew at that time, whenever you saw that happening and they were dragging Roy off and everything?
If you can imagine standing on a trap door and having it yanked out from underneath you, that's what it's like. We, at the time it happened, we just assumed, oh, Roy got bit. Okay, we're probably going to be closed for a month or two. And it wasn't until a day later that we suddenly found out, oh, this show is closed. I weathered pretty well. A lot of the other people did not, because friends of mine, there was one of the carpenters, his wife worked in wardrobe. So both of their salaries just went away immediately. It was devastating.
Wow. No, sorry. I just had my mouth full of cheese and crackers.
Well, when the cat took a hold of Roy and drug him off stage, the line from the whole party was that the tiger thought that Roy had a stroke and was protecting him by taking him backstage. Isn't that what I heard on Larry King and some other programs?
That story has been out there, and I cannot say yes or no one way or the other.
I can.
The illusion just before that happened was their version of Things That Go Bump in the Night, which they call Cermoti. Well, anyone who knows how Things That Go Bump in the Night works, the paraphernalia behind the scenes is very large and very heavy. It took about 7 or 8 people to move it. So we're all moving that back into the prop room. And all of a sudden, if you've ever done a show night after night after night, it's exactly the same. We're putting away all of the paraphernalia that goes with the Things That Go Bump illusion. And something is missing in the soundtrack. It was uncomfortable. And it was so clear that everyone just stopped what they were doing, just kind of froze, and they waited. Now, if you're working a cat show, the one thing you know is never go running out on the stage, because if it's a loose cat, the cat thinks it's a game and it's going to chase after you. So everybody just kind of stood waiting until suddenly one of the guys on deck came running into the prop shop and goes, "Does anybody have a medical bag?" And we're like, "Oh, okay." And that's the point where we figured, oh, okay, Roy got bit. And everyone walked out and started trying to see what they could do. I walked out on stage. I saw about 15, 20 people around Roy on the floor. And I figured, well, he's taken care of. And so I hooked up with the head of the animal crew, and said, "Well, George, we got to get the animals off the stage. So what do you need me to do?" So as we're moving animals back, I didn't even see the paramedics come in. All I saw was Roy leaving on the gurney. And the one last thing I heard him say was, "Don't hurt the cat," as they took him out the door. So
he could still speak.
Yes, he could speak. But as for what really happened, I don't know. I've heard all of the stories. Kirby, the people you were talking about that you saw on Larry King, 2 of them were dancers, and one of them was the head of the pyro department.
Right.
Well, the dancers were back in the dressing room, and the head of the pyro department, she was behind the dome wall. And I'm like, how can you go on TV and tell what you saw when you didn't see anything?
Right.
So,
Well, they were just trying to mitigate the publicity and damages that they were going to suffer. And so what? I mean, if that's their story about what the tiger did, that's what it is.
That's the way I took it too. Hey, I have something that's kind of off topic, but would you like a story?
Do we like a story? That's what this is all about.
Okay.
Lay it on us, man.
Well, this is a Kirby story.
Oh, shit.
Oh, yeah. When we were at the Aladdin Hotel, Kirby, of course, was starring in the Abracadabra show. And something else had happened at the same time. I don't remember time-wise where it fell, But Doug Henning decided he was getting out of magic. And so he sold off all of his illusions from all of the magic specials. However, he retained 4 illusions that he, just in case the thing with the Maharishi didn't work out too well. Those were the water levitation, the King Tut illusion, walking through a mirror, and the artist's dream from his third world of magic. So Kirby bought them, all of them. He had all the illusions delivered to his warehouse except for one, the water levitation, which he had delivered to the theater. So he wanted to put it in the show. Now, these illusions had been toured across the world, and they were in horrible, horrible shape. So we've got the water levitation there. Kirby decides, I want to see the water work. And I'm like, okay. So we take a hose, stick it up on top, try to fill the tank, and the tank is rotten, and the fiberglass is completely shattered, and water is rushing out the bottom of the tank faster than I can get it inside. So I ended up having to take the next 2 months ripping the guts out of this thing and replacing it, because it was a wooden prop covered in fiberglass. So once I finished all my work of getting it to where it was operational again, now the 4 of us, Kirby, Tara, his lead female assistant, Mark, his male acro, and I, we were there late at night rehearsing it, trying to figure out how does Kirby want this illusion to look, what spins on it, or is he going to give it? So after about a month, we had gotten it down and we could perform the illusion perfectly. So now it came time to try to integrate it into an already running show. So we had to get the producer in and all the technicians. So lighting, sound, the deck lead, everybody. And we finally got it into this one part of the show. It's called I think it was called the rain dance. There was a rain curtain across the front of the stage, and the rain dance took up the entire stage. There were these giant globes that was filled with water and had girls spinning around inside of them. And then the back wall was covered in neon. So they had to figure a way of dropping a curtain in to divide the stage in half so that the dance could continue in front and we could preset the water levitation right behind the curtain. We got all of that done. Then finally, after rehearsing it from the very beginning of the water dance all the way through levitation, and then at the whatever act came after the levitation, Peter, the producer, had everyone come together on stage, and they're all looking around. So, do we have all the problems solved? Is everything working right? And everybody agreed, yeah, sure. So Peter says, okay, it goes in tonight. There was only one trouble in the whole thing, and no one even thought about it. We had never lit the flaming ring that Kirby passes over the girl. And so what could possibly go wrong? Nothing. Come on. So now it's the first show that night. The rain dance is going on. The gentleman who is our pyrotech, his name is John Goodall, but we all called him Sparky. Sparky picks up the flame ring. He takes it out the back door, hangs it over the railing, and he's got one of those like ketchup or mustard dispensers you take on a picnic, but he's got it filled with Coleman fuel. He holds it out.
Wow.
Yeah, that's good enough. Shakes it out a little. Yeah. Walks back inside. He's now standing in the wings. The water levitation has already started.
Yeah.
And suddenly he looks down, and there's a pool of Coleman fuel on the floor.
Of course.
He reaches back, grabs a towel from off of one of the set pieces, throws it down, mops it up, and leaves it there for the thing to drip on. So now out on stage, Kirby and Mark have Tara, and they gently lay her down on the tips of the water. And then Mark lets go and walks away. He comes back into the wings, grabs hold of the flaming hoop from Sparky, and stands there. Sparky reaches into his pocket and pulls out a lighter. And now Kirby's up there, and Mark is waiting for Tara to float up until she's about almost at shoulder level to Kirby. He's going to make the water go away. Then, At that point, when Kirby starts to make the water go away, Mark, standing in the wing, goes, "Light me up." Sparky lights the lighter. There was such a huge explosion of fire backstage. It lit up all of stage right. Kirby's up there like this, and he's like, "Jesus, what's going on?"
Wow.
So all Kirby can see is a bonfire in the wings. Mark, holding the ring, is like this now, and he wants to get rid of it, but there's a metal firebox on the other side of the stage, and that's the only place it can go. So he goes walking out on stage. I catch eyes with Kirby, and Kirby's looking, going, "I don't want that." So, but Mark goes up, he hands it up to Kirby. Kirby grabs it, he passes it over Tara as fast as he can. Pans it back to Mark. Mark takes it again like this, walks off into the wings, and there's a metal firebox with a hole at the top. He drops it into the firebox, and I guess it's like the air pressure. As the ring drops in, a plume of fire shoots up about a yard above the box. Then it settles down, and the fire is like a foot over the top of the opening of the box. The stage crew gentleman that's supposed to flip the lid closed on this, he's now like 10 feet away. So he like ekes his way up, and he kicks the lid to flip it over. Well, unfortunately, there's not a perfect seal. It's like an 1/8 inch all the way around. So there's this 1/8 inch, there's this fire all the way around the lid to this box. The guy reaches down low, grabs the handle, pulls the firebox away from the curtain. Meantime, 3 or 4 other stage crew guys have grabbed wet towels that they throw over the box to try to get the fire out. So I assume they got it out. We didn't burn the theater down that night. Now, Mark makes his entrance back out on stage, helps Kirby take Tara off the tips of the water, sets her down. He walks off, goes downstairs. Now Kirby and Tara both, they kneel down on the front of the water levitation, and Kirby magically makes the water go away, grabs her hand, kisses it as the curtain comes in. The curtain hits the floor. Tara stands up. "Sparky, get your fat ass out here." After which, you can hear laughter throughout the entire audience. Sparky, however, is ahead of her. He's already bolted out the back door. He's in his car and driven away.
God bless Sparky.
Wow. Do you remember that also the same way, Kirby?
I remember that as well as other Sparky stories. We're lucky we survived him. He was just a big old goof.
Yeah. By the way, Nick Lewin was asking Russ whether or not that you knew his friend from England, Seaton, on the S&R team, Siegfried and Roy team.
What department?
What department? I don't know. Maybe he will respond to what department that was in. I don't know.
The name's not familiar.
Okay. Oh, so while I've got you, I one thing is that after the tiger bite, ATB, after tiger bite, that you went to work then with Cirque du Soleil and working then for their for Ka for a while. Yes. I understand that they also have had some financial difficulties, or rather are going through that right now. Can you talk a little bit about what that was kind of like? It's wait a minute. It's sure. Sorry, that didn't help me. Russell. No. Okay. Go ahead. Just talk about the that a little bit.
Wow. I'm not sure exactly what to say.
Well, I mean, the Ka was a huge thing. I mean, Ka and right now, what is running? What are the Cirque shows still in Vegas?
None.
Well, okay.
Everything closed. Everything in Vegas is cyclic. There was what a friend of mine calls the tits and feathers shows, and then it became the magic shows. Everybody had to have magic. And then it was Cirque Du Soleil, so everybody had to have acrobats and all kinds of things.
Yeah.
Cirque, this is just my opinion. I think Cirque has come to the end of its run because a lot of the shows were not that full as we were approaching this pandemic.
Even towards the end, like last year,
Yeah.
I mean, in 2019.
Yeah, I think we're coming to the end, but the thing is, I don't know what we're going towards. The one thing that a lot of us believe is we're now going towards nightclubs. These very high-end nightclubs like Hakkasan, where you end up paying like $300 for a bottle of $10 champagne.
Right.
It's been going that way for a while now, I think.
Has it?
Yeah, because the ultra lounges started to replace all the small cabarets. But yeah, because it's, there's just this sort of Vegas used to be a place where everyone could come and everyone could afford to gamble. Everyone could afford a good meal, and then it just kind of, with the big resorts and everything, the whole clientele shifted. Now they're really catering to people with money. And so hence why everything just got so much more expensive. Everything got so much more exclusive. A lot of these perks, like these $300 bottles of liquor, can sometimes be complimentary. Complimentary tickets to nightclubs with complimentary bottle of booze if they gamble X amount of money.
Right.
Because they're trying to encourage everyone to become part of the Players Club so that they can spend in the casino. So that, that just kind of became the whole sort of new paradigm in, Vegas, the Vegas experience. So it's really changed a lot. I myself miss the 49-cent breakfast and the $4.99 steak and egg specials. You're hard pressed to find those now. They're just
the $1.99 special down at it was downtown. I can't remember.
There you are around if you can find them, but it's not real common anymore. Yeah. Which is why I think that downtown is really thriving now, because downtown has now become the area where, people who are not rich can go hang out and actually have some fun and, and really enjoy, what that has to offer. And they've cleaned it up a lot, and they've made it a little bit more attractive, because it got a little seedy there for a while.
Well, I sound like an old guy, but I remember, of course, back in the days, well, I don't remember the mob days, but back in the days when they used to have like a 99-cent shrimp cocktail or the $4.99 all-you-can-eat buffet or whatever, that it was great steaks and whatever. But that was whenever that they ran shows a lot differently, that they were trying to get people in to gamble and to watch the shows, and you were required to do like 13 minutes, not 13 minutes and 10 seconds. You had to be right on the spot because they wanted people back in there gambling. And so it was a lot different. And as Lindsay says, the Horseshoe was a classic place. It was just a great place. Anyhow, things have changed just a lot over the years, and it's costing a lot more. And everything really is about the bottom line and the dollar, and trying to bring that in as they're tearing down one hotel and building up a new resort that is even bigger and shinier than the last one. It's just amazing,
Yeah.
Can I ask Luna a question?
Yeah, shoot.
I wish someone would. I'm just sitting here. I'm part of the scenery.
other than
and you're beautiful scenery too, I might add.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I put makeup on for you and everything.
I feel special.
Luna, other than you and your father, are there other family members that are into magic?
My son, Adam, is actually very much into magic. I mean, he's got a lot of different interests. He's a musician. He is majoring in video game development in his high school. He goes to a trade school. But yeah, he's been doing magic with me since he was about 11 years old. He was helping me run my children's magic course when I was doing the magic school. which
Right.
of course is at the moment I'm not doing because of, COVID and
Yeah.
whatever. But yeah, no, he performs with me in the show actually every night. Performs a couple of spots, and so yeah, it's pretty cool actually to have a third generation magician. I don't think that
Yeah,
he
sure.
wants to become a career magician though. I don't believe that it's something that he will, go professional with. I think it's something that he enjoys doing. And I think that's smart because, he's like, no offense, Mom, I love magic. I'll always probably do it for fun. And, whenever I have the opportunity to get up on stage and do it, he says, but, I actually want to make money in this lifetime. He's like, I got big plans,
Yeah.
And I was just like, and I was like, good for you. I mean, really, that's just being smart because I chose magic as my profession, and then I do all these other things like writing and stuff as a hobby, right? And he's being smart about it. He's just like, I'll do magic as a hobby, but I'll have another trade that actually, generates revenue for me. So
Right.
but yeah, but no, he's in it. He's in it all the way.
That's
And
cool.
Yeah. Hey.
So Russell, right now, of course, that nothing's really happening in Las Vegas, and that Ka was closed, and of course, talk about Siegfried and Roy. So
Yeah.
what are you doing then right now? Okay, just picking your nose,
Excuse me.
picking your seat. And I know right now, Luna, that you're breeding dogs. Is that right?
Yeah, www.mysticmagicpoms.com. That's right. That was my hobby. That was my little hobby side business thing that I started doing, at first for fun, and then for, just it's fun, but it's actually became, a pretty almost professional interest now.
Mhm.
Because I'm very sciencey, I have ever since I was a young adult, I've really had a deep interest in the subject of genetics and things of that nature. So I wanted to be a geneticist when I was young, but I never had the school and the education, the background to go into that field, obviously. So I'm very self-educated. Breeding dogs is something that gave me an opportunity to really jump into the genetic subject, because it's not, when you start to really learn about what breeding is, breeding animals, it's not just about, hey, breeding cute little animals so that you can sell it to people and make money. That's just one aspect of it. The real dedicated breeder is in it to improve the breed, to create new breeds, to see what you can create from the knowledge that you have.
Right.
And that's the aspect of it that I really enjoy, is that every time I get a new dog, I get that DNA and I send it off to the lab, and I can't wait for that report to come so I can look at it and go, ooh, this dog has this and this, and you know what I mean? And it's exciting for me. It's very
Sure.
geeky, but yeah, so that's what I do. I breed the most beautiful, gorgeous, high quality Pomeranian puppies that, I can make.
That's great.
And people love them, and they buy them, and you take care of them and love them for the rest of their life. And
Well-
it's very satisfying because, I always say I'm in the joy factor business.
The joy factory. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I would encourage people to go back and to listen to the podcast that we did last week. It was released on episode number 497, I believe, that was with Luna, and talks about your life and growing up on the road and what it was like when you were with your mom and dad in foreign countries and things that was quite interesting. And I think enlightening then as well for a lot of people to myself included, to certainly hear that. Then after that, then last week was Ken Scott, which was that 490? Is that no? That was 490. That was 490. You were 497. So that was 498. The one today was with Tim Wise, which I would suggest the people to go and listen to, because Tim was someone who is from Las Vegas then as well, who has been working with Jeff McBride on the Wonderground as the host. He also had toured with Dennis Loomis. It was interesting that when he was so much younger in his teens, that he left high school and his mom allowed him to go on tour with Dennis. That was amazing. And then also next week we're going to be having one coming up with Suzanne the Magician. And again, what this virtual happy hour allows us to do is to kind of sit around and to enjoy each other's company that we don't have an opportunity to do in the real world, as if that we are at a magic convention or being able to actually enjoy a drink with each other and a great conversation. But this has been delightful. So I thank you guys very much for your time that you've given us over here. This has been just beyond delightful. It's great stories filled with a lot of great things. Kirby, thanks very much. I appreciate it. I'm glad that your sister and your assistant and everybody else and you had kind of coordinated all this to get this together. So thanks, Kirby, very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, this was great having you in. And certainly, Luna, that it was wonderful to have you then as well. It's been just phenomenal with great stories that you shared then as well. And goodness, Russell, about the things that you've discussed then with Siegfried and Roy and everybody else, that some great stories then as well. In fact, I have had some comments on some past episodes of the podcast where I've had you on, where I've seen you at some conventions, and you had talked about Siegfried and Roy, and people said of everything we discussed, that was the thing that they enjoyed the most. Was you gotta have more. Let's have more Russell. Let's have more Russ. We need to get more of this kind of stories.
Would you like to leave them with one last story?
Let's do that. Please do. Please. Yeah,
Okay.
Russ, lay it on us.
We typically take a 2-week dark. I think it was like 3 or 4 times throughout the year. During this one dark, Siegfried had decided he wanted to add a pyro pot in front of the mascot moth, because the way they normally perform it, they circle around the moth, and Siegfried would be right in front of it as the moth disappeared. So you never saw it. It just, as he passed, it disappeared. So we installed the pyro pot. Now we come back from the dark. Siegfried's walking around backstage. I think it's an hour or two before show. He's got his cigarette. He's just looking at all the work that we've done and everything, smoking. He runs into the pyrotech and goes, "So, is it loaded?" And the pyrotech, "Yes, sir, it's loaded." He goes, good. So am I. And walks off. That night, we do the show. Now, we know Siegfried's a creature of habit. And so he's going to walk over the top of that pyro pot. Sure enough, he walks over it. It explodes underneath him. And everyone, you can hear it over the headsets. "Oh my God, is he okay? Are we stopping the show? What's going on?" Everyone's running to the wings or looking through curtains and everything to try to see. Nope, he's okay. We're still doing the show. We're okay. So the pyrotech makes his way over to wherever it was that Siegfried is going to exit from. Siegfried walks out. He grabs him by the arm and goes, "My balls are on fire." "I guess I'm not going to do that next show." And walks out.
That's a great one. Hey, and so I see over there that you got with you then right now, Luna, one of your palms.
Yeah, this is Bala.
Oh,
This is one of
that's
my
pretty.
babies. Yeah, she's about 6 months old, and
How much bigger will she get?
well, she's full grown now.
Oh, they
about-
darn.
Yeah, she's about 5 or 6 pounds, and her mama's now retired, so she's one of the little girls that I kept from her last litter, and she's kind of going through a bit of a coat change right now because normally they're a lot more fluffy, but yeah, there she is.
Cute.
Pretty girl.
Very cute. Very cute. Well, again, thank you guys so very much. I appreciate everybody sharing your story, sharing your time, and this has been just lovely. And thanks everyone who has been tuning in to watch tonight's episode, this virtual happy hour here, number 36. This has been going on for a long time, and it's just been a lot of fun. Yeah, Harriet, you're right. That was an adorable puppy. It's so cute. That's right. And so, Wayne, thank you. You're welcome. I'm glad that you liked it. I'm glad everyone had just such a great time here. This has been just a lot of fun. And so I want to remind everybody that if you haven't had a chance, please go to the Magic Word Podcast, where you can subscribe to our weekly pod letter. One thing that would really help us a lot, if you would please just go to iTunes or someplace where that you can give us a 5-star rating with a positive comment. That helps the podcast grow. So if you are not listening to the podcast and you're only watching this virtual happy hour, then that's fine too. I'm glad that we can share this moment together. But if you are a listener of the podcast, and why shouldn't you be? If you're a magician in particular, then if you can just leave us, again, a 5-star comment, that would be fantastic. That would help us to grow. That would be great. And subscribe to the pod letter, which will let you know what's going to be happening. As I mentioned, next week is going to be coming up then with Suzanne the Magician. Oh, let me just mention.
Her.
Oh, she is. Yeah. Well,
I wish I was on that show with her. You know, her and I are girlfriends. I mean, we go back. You know, we go way back together. So
yes, I know.
She's absolutely awesome.
She is. And
she's
let
an
me
incredible magician and a wonderful human being.
She's actually going to be kicking off our show. We have a virtual banquet. The Houston Magicians Installation of Officers banquet typically has 300 or 400 people who will attend in the real world when we are live.
Right.
But we held this last year just before the quarantine, and so this year we are doing a virtual show. I highly recommend that you go and register for this convention. Go to HoustonMagic.com. Easy enough. HoustonMagic.com. There you will see at the top of the page a place where you can register for the event. Suzanne will kick it off. We're going to have a regular installation of officers for our IBM and SAM assembly, as well as the Houston Association of Magicians, which will have the international presidents. We'll have the national president, Joel Zaritsky, and Steve Brigazzi with the IBM, and then Bill Palmer, who's going to be introducing the HAOM. But they're going to be inducting everyone. We have an in memoriam. We have other magicians who are going to be coming on and performing, some local magicians who will perform, some youth, some young magicians, as well as some people who you know, like Paul Draper. We will have people like, as I mentioned, Suzanne. We're going to be having, Gregory Wilson and Murray Sawchuk and Uri Geller. We've just got Stan Allen, just a lot of people who are going to be on this. I don't want to divulge too many of the secrets. It's going to be just a lot of fun, and somebody or something that you should go to, again, register for this upcoming. It's, by the way, Sunday, February the 14th, 7:00 p.m., which is going to be Central Time. I know it's going to be Valentine's Day. Maybe a little bit difficult sometimes for some people to try to break away from their loved one.
I'll be there. I'm single now.
There you go. Me too. But it is it's guaranteed a great time, that everyone will have a wonderful time. And so, thanks, BJ. I'm glad that you had a good time, and that also. That I hope then, Lindsay, out there, Shiny Nichols, that you also enjoy a martini then too. Thank you guys very much, and that this is going to be great. I know that Dal Sanders, who is a past national president of the SAM, will be there. Will there be martinis? Actually, okay, I'll spoil the surprise. Yes, there will be martinis at the banquet. Guaranteed. And watch for it towards the end. I'll just tell you that in advance. It's going to be fun. So listen, you guys have all been great. So I thank you all very much. One more time. Thank you, Kirby. Thank you, Luna. Thank you, Russ. That you guys have been fantastic. You're such good friends for being here. And I appreciate you being sharing your stories and your time here this evening. I know everyone loved it. So it's great.
Nice seeing you two boys again, and nice seeing you for the first time in person, Luna.
Yeah.
Okay.
Whatever this is.
That's whatever this virtual. That's right. Virtual reality. Whatever this is.
Yeah.
Until next time. Thank you very much. And be sure and join us over on the Magic Word podcast. This is Scotty out.